I have never experienced a level of unprofessionalism in my career. It's unbelievable.
The Florida judge who presided over the Parkland school shooter's penalty phase trial now finds herself in hot water for her unprofessionalism during the highly publicized case.
You don't threaten the
Judge,
court's children.
everyone
Your
in this
assistant just
courtroom-
did that. Go sit down.
No one in this courtroom had to endure what we had to
Go
endure.
sit down.
Circuit Court Judge Elizabeth Schur oversaw the 6-month-long penalty phase trial that ended after Nicholas Cruz was sentenced to life in prison for killing 17 people and injuring 17 others at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School on February 14, 2018. Prosecutors pushed for a death sentence, but in the end, jurors could not unanimously agree. Months after the sentence in prison was handed down, the Judicial Qualifications Commission says Schur, quote, engaged in inappropriate behavior while presiding over the penalty phase and sentencing proceedings by showing bias in favor of the prosecution. The report reads in part, quote, in limited instances during this unique and lengthy case, Judge Schur allowed her emotions to overcome her judgment. It highlights multiple points during the trial when Judge Schur's, quote, treatment of members of the defense team was, at times, not patient, dignified, or courteous.
What you are doing right now is highlighting something and making more of a spectacle. So if your office in general does not want to facilitate or incite violence, then we need to just sit down and move on. That's it. There were 18 witnesses, 16 or 18 witnesses that testified today. There was nothing that was said until Ms. McNeil made her point made, and, we're moving on.
One moment specifically mentioned by the commission stems from an incident between Schur and Chief Assistant Public Defender David Wheeler. The commission alleges Schur incorrectly accused Wheeler of threatening her children and unjustly dismissed him during court proceedings. The lengthy back and forth shows Schur yelling at Wheeler and later Broward County Chief Assistant Public Defender Gordon Weeks.
But is the court going to do anything about maybe stopping it from happening again?
When these people are upset about specific things that have gone on from that table, like shooting the middle finger up at this court and laughing and joking, Ms. McNeil, be quiet. When these people have sat in this courtroom and watched this behavior from that table and they want to say that they're not happy about it, what is the problem?
Judge, I have no problem because I have thick skin. But once you bring in my children, I think that's highly improper.
I didn't even know you have children. I don't know what you're talking about. Your children? What about your children?
For them to comment on my children is highly improper. Before this court to allow that kind of testimony is also improper.
I don't remember any comments about any children. And if there was, it obviously didn't, it came and went without me noticing it.
Judge, I can assure you that if they were talking about your children, you would definitely notice it.
You need to sit down right now. You're out of line. In fact, you're excused. You need to go sit in the back with your chief public defender.
He's the public defender.
Mr. Weeks, please ask the lawyer from your office to go sit down and not say anything else. To try to threaten my children and bring up my children is inappropriate. Go to the back of the room now. That just violated about every rule of professional responsibility that I have never. If you're going to get up here and you're going to...
Judge, I asked you to go sidebar on this matter.
You, sidebar or not, you don't have one of your assistant public defenders say something about my children?
Judge, that same venom that the court is expressing is the same venom that defense counsel had to sit through this entire morning when their children
She brought up her children multiple
referenced.
times during the trial. Nobody knows if I'm barren or not. They don't know about my children.
Judge.
Sit down. Sit down.
Judge.
Sit down, Mr. Weeks.
Please do not summarily dismiss me.
I'm summarily dismissing
asking
you.
the
Go
court.
sit down.
I'm asking the court. I asked the court to go sidebar.
Go sit down. You don't threaten the
Judge,
court's children.
everyone
Your
in this
assistant just did
courtroom-
that. Go sit down.
No one in this courtroom had to endure what we had to
Go
endure.
sit down. Miss McNeil McNeil has made her children a spectacle more than once during this trial. That was her choice. You have absolutely no right to have one of your assistants come up here and suggest something about my children. Now, please go sit down.
Judge.
You're inappropriate and out of line. Go sit down.
Judge, may I have a brief recess?
No. Go sit down.
May I have a brief recess so I can speak to my attorneys?
We're moving on with the sentencing, Mr. Weeks.
So can I have a brief recess?
No.
Thank you.
The 15-person commission, made up of judges, lawyers, and citizens, also points to Scher's treatment of lead public defender Melissa McNeil, saying McNeil was, quote, unduly chastised.
I have been practicing in this county for 22 years.
You know what? I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear
Well,
it.
Judge, you're insulting me on the record in front of my client, and I believe that I should be able to
Okay,
defend myself.
you can do that later. You can make your record later, but you've been insulting me the entire trial.
Multiple times throughout the trial, Scher and McNeil butted heads, including during a discussion of witness testimony.
These victims now have a chance and a right to come in here and say what they're allowed to say and what they're legally allowed to say. What the defense is doing is illegal to try and curtail these victims' rights under the law, and it's unconscionable. These victims have a right to express themselves. I have not gone over what their statements are because under the law, under Chapter 960, they don't have to tell me what they're going to say. They can ask me if they need guidance, and I will provide it to them. But they have a right to address this court. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, State, you can go ahead and call your next witness.
I just need to say that the defense is not attempting to curtail the limits of the sentencing proceeding or the rights that the victims' families have. We are not trying to do that. But the state attorney's office knows that what is happening here is beyond what the victims' families are constitutionally protected to do. You can say whatever you want to Mr. Cruz. You can attack him and say whatever you want. But your honor knows that what is happening here is not permissible.
Ms. McNeil, stop suggesting that I know that something is impermissible and that I am allowing it to happen. You're finished. I've heard your objection. It's noted. State, go ahead and call Ms. Ramsey.
Later on, when the defense formally rested its case, Scher yelled at McNeil for insulting her with unprofessionalism.
Okay, who's questioning this witness? Hello?
Which witness?
Your next witness.
These don't have anything to do with it.
Yeah, we're just entering them.
These are just records. We're just doing it now.
So is it a secret who's going to be questioning your next witness? Because I'm going to find out in like 3 minutes.
No.
Who was doing it?
If the records don't relate, but if we call the witness, it will be me. I'm assuming you're talking about that.
Who is your next witness and when are they being called and which attorney is going to question them? Let me be clear if I wasn't before. Because if these don't have anything to do with your next witness, then why are we having the jury wait outside right now?
Just because we were trying to move everything in because in terms of timing, we do it now.
In terms of timing, it would be much better to do it during the lunch break when the jury needs longer than you all. So we'll go ahead and pass on this. Let's bring the jury in, please.
Your Honor?
Yes?
At this time, the defense rests.
Other than putting in our records.
We're not playing chess. I mean, will you please take the jury back in? Thank you. All right, go ahead and put in your records.
2B, Nicholas Cruz Henderson, episode 1 record.
Let me just stop. State, are you going to have anything ready for today?
No.
The
We're
defense last told us
accepting,
there was 80 witnesses.
we're waiting for 40 more witnesses.
I just want to say this is the most uncalled for, unprofessional way to try a case. You all knew about this, and even if you didn't make your decision till this morning, to have 22 people plus all of this staff and every attorney march into court, be waiting as if it's some kind of game. Now I have to send them home. The state's not ready. They're not going to have a witness ready. We have another day wasted. I honestly, I have never experienced a level of unprofessionalism in my career. It's unbelievable.
So, Judge, if we had any pretrial matters, you asked us to be here at 9:15. We were here at 9:15 to discuss pretrial matters. I have been practicing in this county for 22
You know what, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to
Well,
hear it.
Judge, you're insulting me on the record in front of my client, and I believe that I should be able to
Okay,
defend
you
myself.
can do that later. You can make your record later, but you've been insulting me the entire trial. So blatantly, taking your headphones off, arguing with me, storming out, coming late intentionally if you don't like my rulings. So quite frankly, this has been long overdue. So please be seated. You can receive the evidence. I will receive the evidence, and then you can put whatever you want on the record.
The commission also specifically outlined Judge Scher's response at the conclusion of the penalty phase when she was caught on camera hugging prosecutors. According to the report, Scher, quote, contends that she offered to embrace defense counsel. Even still, commissioners point out that on April 13th of this year, the court determined Scher should be disqualified from post-conviction proceedings in another death penalty case, citing the same behavior from the Parkland school shooter penalty phase trial. The report also goes on to state, quote, the worldwide publicity surrounding the case created stress and tension for all participants. However, regardless of the gravity of the accusations or level of attention given a matter, the commission expects that a judge will endure due process, order, and decorum and act always with dignity and respect to promote integrity and impartiality of the judiciary. From here, the commission's report will be turned over to the Florida Supreme Court, which will ultimately decide whether Scher faces a public reprimand. Prior to news of the report being released, Scher announced she would retire from the bench on June 30th. Reporting for Law and Crime Network, I'm Sierra Gillespie.